Everything is through the roof in prices. Interest rates are through the freaking roof.
I can't afford it.
Inflation is higher than we've ever seen before. Do you buy a car in 2024? I made that rhyme, yo. Let's find out on this video. Back again, yeah. My name is Tristan. I sell new and used cars for a living. I see how this market plays out every day. It's constantly changing. It's constantly evolving. A lot of people ask me, is 2024 the year for me to buy a car? Well, guess what? There's no clear-cut answer. Everyone's situation is different, but I'm gonna give you the information so you can make that decision for yourself. Let's find out together if buying a car is right for you in 2024. So to fully understand where the market is at right now, you need to understand what happened recently that shifted everything. Back in 2019, COVID-19 hit us. That pandemic struck the car industry by storm. I mean, it flipped everything upside down. Dealers were closed. Dealers didn't even have power on to save money to make sure that they can actually stay open. It was a crazy time. Nobody knew what was going to happen. And on top of that, manufacturers did not have the supply to create enough cars. So there was a massive shortage. And what does that tell you? Well, with supply and demand, cars went up in price a ton during the pandemic, and there wasn't a ton of them out there. So one, it was very hard to even find the car you wanted. You typically had to wait months, if not almost a year or over a year to purchase a vehicle. And on top of that, you're paying markups of 5, 10, 15, 20. I've even seen $30,000 markups on vehicles. It was a crazy time. So if you wanted to buy a car, it kind of sucked back then. I mean, to put this in perspective for you, dealers have massive lots where they park hundreds, if not thousands of cars. During COVID, they were so few and far between, you could land a freaking Boeing 747 right down on the lot. That should not be okay, and it's not. That's why everything was upset. So if you're trying to buy a car back then, it really wasn't that easy. So since COVID until now, it's been 3 to 4 years roughly, prices have skyrocketed. I mean, you've seen a 10, 15, 20, maybe even 25% increase in price and MSRP on these cars, besides a markup. Cars have gone up a ton in price. A main reason because of that is because of the short supply of cars and the high demand for them. Everyone was stuck at home and they didn't really have anything else to do. So what'd they want to do? Go out and purchase a car, I guess, because that's normal. And on top of that, if we go back in time, there was this one era you might have heard of called cash for clunkers. Well, what happened then? It was this time where the government was handing out grants for you to trade in your cheap car for cash. Cars that typically didn't even run, cars that had a lot of issues wrong with them that might even be considered a totaled car, you could get cash for it and they would crush the cars. So these cars were literally taken out of the market and cash was given to the consumers to purchase new vehicles. They were trying to stimulate the car's economy. Same thing is happening right now. We've had a very short supply for a few years, and a lot of people got these stimulus checks. They got a lot of money during COVID that they want to spend on cars. Kind of the same thing. When we look at the cash for clunkers era, car prices went up a lot and they didn't ever go back down. So really, I'm not seeing any signs of the car market going back down. I think it's only going to stay at the same and go up from here. So all you people that come into my work and say, hey, I'm just going to wait for prices to go back down again, you're not making the smartest decision if you ask me. Anyways, back during COVID, again, a lot of people were buying these cars that had high markups. And typically when you buy a new car, what happens is these new cars depreciate 10, 15, even 20% in value in the first year or two that you own them. So during that time frame, you're losing a lot of money on that car's value. You have a loan that's worth a certain amount of money that you're slowly paying down, but the rate of how fast your car's value is depreciating is going down faster. Now keep in mind, when you have a $20,000 to $30,000 markup on top of that, you have all of that money that you have to pay down as well. The car's value is not going to go up with the price of your markup. The car's value is still the same. So we're seeing a lot of people come in with absurd numbers and negative equity that we've never seen before. And there's nothing we can really do. People are getting stuck in these cars that they don't know what to do with because they can't pay them off enough to purchase something else. So they're stuck in a car they really don't want with a payment that's way higher than they really want it to be at. Oh, and to top it off, used car prices during COVID were stupid. They were just plain stupid. I mean, look at these numbers. That's obnoxious. But guess what? Supply and demand. Everyone wanted a car, not a lot of supply. Same thing with the used market. Not a lot of people wanted to get out of their cars. It was uncertain times. Now, speaking of that, let's talk about whether you should buy this brand new, shiny new car over here or this less brand new and less shiny car over here that's a little bit less money. It's called used. So right now with new cars, I think they might be the better option because there are very high interest rates right now comparably to 5-6 years ago when you can get a car with under 3% for your interest rate. With new cars right now, we're constantly seeing incentives. I've seen incentives as low as 1.9%. That's 5-6 years ago interest rates. That's pretty good. Whereas with a used car, you're typically going to have a higher interest rate to begin with because it's used. To the bank's side of things, it's more of a risk. It's more of a risk for something to go wrong with that asset that the bank and you both own. Really, the bank owns. So if you can find those interest rates, I definitely think a new car is something you should consider if you typically aren't a new car buyer. If you are to buy a new car, the best times of the year to buy one are going to be at the very end of the year. The very end, I mean like literally the last week of the year. That is when dealers are going to be most prompt to get rid of their units and they say, goodbye, we don't want you anymore, right? Because they're trying to roll out of their old year units so they don't have them forever. With used cars, it's a lot different. You got these cars that start going down typically November, December, keep going down here, right? And then December hits and we move into January, it's a new year. So these cars are technically a year older, so their value goes down even more. But January, February, we're so going down in price, right? What's happening is dealers are buying all these cars in bulk, prepping for tax season that hits in March. As soon as March hits, the used car market goes like this. It skyrockets, like Elon, right? Elon Musk with X, right? My jokes are terrible. I'm trying to make this entertaining, man. Come on. If you like it, subscribe, like. That was a good transition. I'm proud of myself there. Dang. So as March hits, used car prices go up. So if you're trying to be smart, if you really want to get the best bang for your buck, technically it's not the best time to buy. Now, with the big elephant in the room being electric cars. Wait. A Tesla just drove by. Did you hear it? Neither did I. Well, we can see the government is trying to push electric vehicles onto consumers. You can see that by 2035, no gas-powered car can still be sold, right? So by then, I mean, you would technically think that electric vehicles are the good buy. But as of right now, you also got to consider the fact that they're not easy to own because there's not a super large infrastructure of electric chargers. I mean, it's gone up a considerable amount, but it's still not really where I think it's at a practical and usable point yet. And you also got to consider it's not like gas where you go, fill it up, you're done in a few minutes. No, you have to sit there, let it charge, go on Twitter or X. I mean, it's not Twitter anymore. Go on Instagram, do your thing, whatever it may be. Oh, sweet. I got 10% of charge. Awesome. Now let me sit here for 5 times that amount of time, right? So it's not the best. At the end of the day, you have to consider what is right for you. I can't make that decision for you. I don't know your financial situations. I don't know what your criteria is in a new vehicle, right? You have to make that decision. I'm just trying to provide you with that information so you can. At the end of the day, what I always tell people is the best time to purchase a vehicle is now. And honestly, I think now is even more relevant right now. Car prices are only going to keep going up. Interest rates might go down a little bit, but they're not going to go down considerably unless you look at the grand scheme of things in 5 to 10 years. They will probably be back where we were before, hopefully, but I don't think in 6 months we're going to see a massive drop. It's going to take a while for it to level back out again. So really, buying time is just making you wait longer to get in the vehicle you want to get into. But whatever you do, please don't get one of these. So like I said, I personally think the best time to buy a vehicle is now. But you have to consider your own needs. Do you want to wait? Do you want to try and get the best bang for your buck and go for it at the end of the year? Yes, technically you save a few $1,000s, but in the same token, you also got to look at it from the perspective of you have to wait all that time before you get into the vehicle you want. It all depends on your situation and what your needs are. On top of things, there's a lot of stuff happening. There's a lot of stuff happening overseas. There's a lot of stuff happening even in our own country. I'm in the United States. So what that means for you, just stay on top of things, do your research, and don't go into a decision without having your own knowledge to back it up. Be confident when you go into a dealership because they will try to take advantage of you. That's how a lot of dealerships are. So again, do your research, figure out what's right for you, and make that educated decision so you can feel confident about buying the car that you end up getting. That's honestly the best advice I can give you.